This week on Storyboard, in an exclusive interaction, we are speaking with Valerie Beauchamp, Vice President, Global Head of Agency Education and Development at LinkedIn, on how marketers and agency leaders can creatively invest in B2B marketing on the platform. And we have Karan Virwani, CEO, WeWork India, and Megha Agarwal, Head of Brand and Marketing, WeWork India, speaking about the major trends witnessed post the pandemic in their sector and how will they pan out in the next few months. Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. We are in conversation with Valerie Beauchamp, who's the Global Head of Agency Development and Education for LinkedIn Marketing Solutions, the company's growing marketing and advertising business. In her role, Valerie leads a global team that is responsible for cultivating relationships with advertising, marketing, and agency partners. She was recently visiting India, and I caught up with her in this exclusive conversation and spoke to her about many things, including how are brands using LinkedIn for their marketing, key B2B marketing trends, and much more. Valerie, welcome to CNBC-TV18.
Thank you.
What brings you to India?
Lots of really good things. I think the first and most important thing is, though I have a global role, I rarely have the opportunity to actually drop down into the markets and understand from our customers what their priorities are. And this is such a dynamic market, particularly in the context of marketing and advertising. And I haven't had an opportunity since I've joined the company to come and spend time with our clients and customers. And so I'm here for a week to do that.
Oh, wonderful. And I believe your role entails, and I'm just reading it out, to cultivating relationships with advertising, marketing, and agency partners. Yeah. So how are they viewing LinkedIn today, and what has changed in terms of perception over the past 2 years of the pandemic?
It's really interesting. I guess I'll start by saying, like, one of the greatest compliments that you can be paid as a platform is when an agency partner says to you, we'd like to be doing more in more ways, and finds more pillars for our partnership. There's a few things that I think have driven sort of an expanded interest and excitement around LinkedIn as a platform. I think the first is, since the onset of the pandemic, we've seen an enormous amount of engagement in the platform. In India, we now welcome 92 million members, and our member engagement is some of the fastest growing in this market. And so what that means is there's new types of conversations, new types of communities that are being built, and that's gleaning sort of new insights and new opportunities for marketers particularly to engage. And so I think where agencies particularly begin to get excited is kind of on two fronts. One is what new opportunities are available for marketers as a result of the growth in member engagement and the types of conversations that are happening. And the second thing actually is sort of more internally focused for them, right? Which is at our core, we have an enormous amount of information and understanding around talent and how people move and what they value and what they're looking for in a company and a place that they want to work. And in agencies, talent is their product. I mean, that is their distinct value proposition that they offer to their clients. And so to the extent that we can help agencies continue to strengthen their products, upskilling, helping them understand where to search for new talent, helping them understand what sort of skills are valuable, where they're coming from, where to find them. That's an additional thing that we can do to help their business grow and ultimately help them serve their clients better.
I'm going to come back to your first point, which is what new marketing opportunities do companies have on LinkedIn as a platform? So what are these marketing opportunities, if you can explain, and what are the tools that you guys have?
Sure. I'll start from a place of saying, the audiences that we welcome onto the LinkedIn platform as a result of its professional context are incredibly valuable to marketers, particularly marketers in the business-to-business B2B space. And part of the reason that they're so valuable is because we know so much more about an individual as a member. We know who they are, we know their title, we know the industry that they're in, we know where they're located, we know who their network is, we know where they were beforehand. And the ability to build really robust audience strategies as a marketer and engage with these groups of people is really kind of unrivaled, particularly from a professional context. And so that is one of the first solutions we offer, which is just the opportunity to extend your reach and deepen your engagement with these audiences. I think the other thing that is really compelling and that I get very excited about LinkedIn is you don't just have to think about us as an ad platform, because one of the things we also offer is companies the opportunity to build their pages, to build pages and communities around their products and around their services, and to use those as foundational platforms for their narratives. And then you can start to think about how you maximize that content and those platforms and those communities and those engagements with follow-up advertising investment. And so as I think a little bit about that relationship between organic and paid, it's such a rich ecosystem to do that for marketers on the LinkedIn platform. And when you couple that with audiences, it's kind of an unmatched opportunity.
Yeah. And Valerie, I have seen people view LinkedIn as a platform for job seekers, for, updating their profile, to post about their profession, about themselves, about their education, their skills, upskilling, etc. How has that perception changed, in the eyes of brands and marketers, and how seriously are they viewing LinkedIn for advertising?
Sure. I think if you go all the way back to the vision that the founders had when they established the platform, which was, to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, that started first and foremost in recognizing the power and the value of a network, right? And so you naturally found yourself first and foremost in that talent space. What happens though, when you now boast a network and a community of 850 million members globally, is the things that people talk about, the areas where they seek knowledge and guidance, the things that they celebrate, the challenges that they call out, the perspectives that they share, suddenly creates an ecosystem and a community and a set of content and conversation that brands can be a part of. And so born of this vision to create economic opportunity also means that you can create economic opportunity for businesses, right? You can create economic opportunity for buyers and sellers, for people in the products and services marketplace, for knowledge seekers and knowledge creators. And so we started from a really ambitious place to begin with. It manifested first in talent, and now I think it creates a really robust ecosystem for marketers to engage in.
Great. Since you are in India, if you can cite some of the key trends that are happening in LinkedIn, in the country, and how do they differ as compared to some of the global trends that you guys have seen?
Sure. First of all, just this is one of our fastest growing markets for member engagement, right? Which I think is great because it means that there are more and more people who are finding value as members and participating in the platform. I think the other thing that is really interesting specifically about India is one of the evolutions that we're seeing in business-to-business marketing particularly is this move toward an increased investment in brand building and creativity. We did a study right before Cannes, the Festival of Creativity, where we sort of tried to discover the degree of growing creative confidence that existed among the B2B marketing community. And one of the markets with the highest percentage of creative confidence is actually India. Wow. I think it's something like 99% people say they have highly confident in sort of the creative evolution in the B2B space here in India. And so what that means is the way that marketers are using our platform here is much more varied. It's no longer just about kind of lower funnel lead generation performance marketing. It's also moving them sort of further upstream and building their brands and begin to think about how they infuse creativity to tell stories.
Yeah, and key focus areas for LinkedIn in the coming months?
From a marketing perspective, one of the things that we are getting really, really excited about is the opportunity to build communities around products and services. So instead of thinking about communities of, let me bring together a group of IT decision makers or a group of CTOs, what if we orient a community around a specific product or service and we bring together the buyer, the seller, the marketer, the brand, the builder, the user? What kind of conversation happens in that space and what opportunities does that present for brands to engage?
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. There has been a lot of change and uncertainty over the past 2 years of the pandemic. It has also made organizations recalibrate their approach towards real estate. Entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, large companies are reworking their real estate strategies. Targeting this wide spectrum of consumers, WeWork has launched their latest campaign titled Great Inspires Great, that highlights an ideal workplace. To tell us more about this and their overall post-pandemic strategy, we have Karan Virwani, CEO WeWork India, and Megha Agarwal, Head of Brand and Marketing at WeWork India. Karan, Megha, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Hi, Shibani. Thank you.
Karan, we are meeting on the sidelines of your new campaign launch, which is Great Inspires Great.
Yeah.
What excites you the most about this campaign?
I think it hits on multiple levels for us. One, WeWork as a platform has always been a place for companies or people to actually, come in, be part of the community and actually leverage that to grow their business, to, grow their network and use our platform, our infrastructure to, to their advantage as much as possible. So I think it's that, but also it encapsulates, the entire spectrum of people that come into our space, whether it's a large Fortune 500 company or a small business. I think everyone coming here is trying to build something amazing. And we wanted to really capture that energy, that essence. And it's the first time we're doing this after, 5 years of kind of being in India and operating in India. And I think that the campaign reflects diversity. It reflects, a much younger energy of India that comes into the workforce and we see in our building. So excited to showcase that to the country.
Yeah, and as you said, Megha, it showcases inclusivity, diversity. There is also a dog walking in the campaign. It also showcases your products. Can you share, what is the objective behind it? What do you want to achieve for your business? What is the business objective of it?
So post-pandemic, we've seen a real shakedown of the larger flexible industry space, and there's been an immense amount of growth. And this is a very good point in time to ensure that there is a lot of brand love. And when companies think about who should be their flex partner in this space, they think WeWork. And what we've showcased in the film is what WeWork truly is. At the heart of the brand sticks inclusivity and diversity. These are our core values. And you will see all of these things actually live at a WeWork location. We've tried to keep it as real, and therefore you will see real people. You also have some employees actually as part of the film. So that's actually what WeWork is. It's a vibe. And through this brand, I think we want to power into next year really. We've seen our first quarter of profitability, and I think this is a great point where we scale up massively, and the film comes in at a brilliant time as we step into the next year. So that's largely the objective behind the campaign at this time.
Correct. Karan, what are the post-pandemic trends that are emerging, if you can share those, and how are these trends shaping your business?
Yeah. So when we started, we were pushing the need for flexibility in the sense that companies should, kind of look at their fixed costs, figure out how to make it a lot more variable. Companies are always scaling and shrinking depending on business cycles, depending on, stages of their growth as well. And real estate has always been like this fixed cost within most organizations or within your P&L. I think what, we do and what a lot of our flex peers and operators actually do is help businesses make that a much more variable cost. So coming out of COVID, I think there was a big realization that, from all companies that, listen, why do I need to be carrying all of this cost when, something so unpredictable can happen and I'm stuck, with this thing on my balance sheet, on my P&L, which is draining the business. So that mindset completely, has shifted where companies who never considered flex working as an option or as a strategy for their growth are definitely now considering it. The other big thing that's come out is like the ability to be flexible, not just in terms of contract or time, but in terms of location and geography. So employees live in different parts of the city. Earlier they all used to commute to one large office in some part of town which may be far away. Today, with our location spread across most cities, the ability to tap into the infrastructure closer to your home is really what's kind of driving people into our spaces, whether that's someone looking for just for a day to come into the space, or companies saying I much rather give my employees smaller offices across the city so that they can come into the space, they can focus on their work. It's a place they get out of the house where they're away from the family or like all of the noise, clutter of being in, a shared and like home environment which has multiple distractions to kind of come in. So it's been flexibility in terms of like contract and like how you're able to manage real estate, flexibility in terms of sort of like location. And we've seen that companies are becoming a lot more mobile in the sense that operations might spring up in Bangalore for a period of time or period of months, and then kind of shut down either because of a project or whatever it is, but want to expand and say like a Bombay again under one account and under one product. So we're able to do that for a company at no additional kind of cost and pretty much within a month's notice. So I think it's just that entire value proposition when you're building a business of how you can kind of manage this a lot better and the convenience of not having to focus on that. If I'm an entrepreneur building tech or building a services business, I don't want to focus on that. So you have a partner like us that can help you with all of those things.
When the pandemic began, people and world over experts had written off co-working spaces, saying that the era of co-working spaces is over, and now we have come to this flexible working, and it's in a way boosting your business. So how did you adapt yourself, or how did you make changes within the company to make this flexibility happen for so many businesses out there?
Well, the good thing was flexibility was always in our DNA. That was, we had seen people adopting it before COVID. It's just that after COVID, it's hit with this massive acceleration, ended up becoming a huge tailwind, versus like being a thing that could actually kill the business. And a lot of times before COVID, people used to ask me, what's the biggest risk of your business? What's the biggest risk of your business? And I don't think I could have ever thought pandemic, but today when I think about it, I think that is like one of the biggest things that could have happened to us, where people just were not in our spaces and we were not used to that. But how we managed it, was with focusing on three big stakeholders. First was our members. So our members are a mix of like a lot of small businesses and enterprises, and it was the small businesses that got hit the most during COVID. So we were actually proactive in giving them relief. We were partners with them, where we kind of eased their tension of having to keep to a lot of their commitments, and we were able to kind of give them relief like off the bat. That was hugely appreciated. So when COVID ended or the lockdowns lifted, those members actually are the ones who came back. They were strong enough to continue to start growing. So that was one. The second thing was we focused on our employees a lot. We made sure that when the whole world was doing pay cuts and doing all of that stuff, we never kind of approached that subject. We made sure that we had enough liquidity to make sure that our employees had stability and weren't sort of like unsure about what's going to happen with their thing. And one of our biggest partners are our landlords. So our landlords was the third piece of the thing that we focused a lot on. Very grateful to all of them, because they were like very proactive in giving us reliefs, working with us, and managing through that entire piece, and that strengthened the entire business and made sure that we were in a good place. And then it was just a factor of like the world being able to come back to life with vaccines and like everything else that happened, which then just sort of like catapulted. And I think that's what we're seeing or have seen in this year, is this huge ramp up, this huge adoption. and this huge like shift in people coming back to.
So
to work.
it was a roller coaster of the
yeah,
last
it was-
2 years
100%.
for you
It
guys.
it was a journey. That's just.
Yeah, and Megha, what is your strategy to drive, further growth for WeWork in the coming months?
The idea is that while we strengthen the brand WeWork amongst everybody and build top of mind, we want people to know that we are one of the most unique hybrid players in the market, right? So we have products from one spectrum, which is on demand, which is catering to your single consumers, offering them day passes to access our buildings for the day. And then we have on the other spectrum, we have managed offices, wherein we basically build, source, operate, manage an entire solution for you no matter where you want it. So I think it's a very wide spectrum. And it's important that over a period of time, strategically, we inform and educate consumers and members about the proposition that we have to offer. And as people and enterprises start figuring out that, flexibility is not just a benefit on the table, but like Karan said, it's more an important thing to have in your DNA to survive as you go forward and scale up. We will continue being top of mind for them as we scale up. So I think that's largely what we're looking at. And constantly the effort will be that. Hence the campaign is planned in a 360 fashion. We will, traditionally we've been a digital first brand, but I think in this case, I think it was important that we touch multiple platforms of media, and the campaign goes live across TV, OTT, outdoor, radio, and digital. So it's a multi-approach channel this way, and I think it will help get us the scale that we really want to and fuel us into the next year. So that's largely the strategy.
Great. Karan, you mentioned that, a lot of your focus during the pandemic was also on your members, on these entrepreneurs, smaller enterprises. Today, if I were to ask you, how much of your business is driven by these smaller companies, entrepreneurs, and how much of it is driven by larger organizations?
Yeah, we're about actually 65%, large enterprises. And we classify an enterprise as anyone, any company that has more than sort of like 500 to 1,000 employees globally. These are really large, stable companies that have, either are growing in India, already established in India, or entering India, for the first time. So a large chunk is that. But I would say like the soul of WeWork still resides with the entrepreneurs and the freelancers and the SME segment, which is really the energy that you kind of feel within our spaces, and it's actually what attracts the enterprise to our spaces, because it's ironic where a small business is always trying to be an enterprise, but an enterprise always wants to act like a small business and be as nimble, and like in our space they're able to do that.
All right, Karan, thank you so much. Thanks, Megha. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Shibani.
Thank you for having us.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.